Hello, everybody! Boys, girls, gals, gadgets, everybody! Welcome to Real Geek News! My name is Kevin Andrew Rivera. We got Raul Ceballos over here. Raul, how you doing?
What's up? What's up?
And of course, we got Chad Cook, our special guest of this episode. Chad, how you
doing?
Hello! We're here to talk about Violent Night. Give you a movie review. Spoiler alert, we will be discussing spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, what are you doing here? Get out of here. You're spoiling it for yourself. With that all being said, let's hop right on into it and talk about Violent Night. So gentlemen, we got our ratings online from IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, Metacritic. IMDb gives it a 7.1, Rotten Tomatoes 71% critic score, 88% audience score, Metacritic 56% critic score, and 6.1 out of 10 user score. Very out there numbers, but I want to
all over the place.
Yeah, I want to hear your thoughts on this. Chad, why don't we start with you? What are some overall thoughts? How do you feel about this movie? What are you thinking?
I think all the numbers that you spouted out just now are incorrect. They should be 10 out of 10, 100%. Fresh, you know. I thought the music was amazing. It was fantastic. I went in thinking it was just going to be a mediocre action movie, but it surprised me, and I was happily surprised. So I think this movie in general is going to make in my Christmas rotation every year to watch.
I agree.
I meant to go see it before this today, but I just didn't get to because I just wanted to see it one more time because it was so fun.
Yeah, I actually 100% agree. I want to buy the DVD for this, the Blu-ray 4K, and I want to be able to play this in my TV every freaking Christmas from now on, because I don't know, I've never had a Christmas movie that's done that to me before. And everybody's got their Nightmare Before Christmas, sort of Die Hard.
No, don't do that.
Die Hard sort of.
Don't you sort of Die Hard?
All right, Die Hard. I will say Die Hard. Raul, how about you? Well, we're going to open a whole can of worms if we go into that conversation. Raul, what do you think? Some overall thoughts?
Just wait till our Die Hard review. No, I agree with both of you guys. This was, I'm on the upper end of the ratings, I'd say. This was a pleasant surprise because I went in with very low-ish expectations, you know. I had a feeling it was going to be pretty good, pretty fun. I had no idea how much freaking fun I had watching this movie. So I really enjoyed it.
The way I've heard other people say that it's a very turn off your brain kind of movie where like you should know what it is just off the trailer. It's just a fun time. Santa Claus beating the crap out of violent goons. What's up, Chad?
Oh no, I was just saying I would say it's not a turn off your brain, because if you are like, I'm a big action movie fan, and watching the movie progress, I was connecting it with all these other things I've seen, and I was like, oh, this is great that they're doing this, that I noticed this and this and this and this. So I think it activated my brain. If anything, it didn't like go, oh, it's just a silly. And I felt there was a lot of heart to the movie too. So I did, and it was smart. It played a lot of things smart. So I don't think it was a just turn off your brain type of movie. But I don't know. I understand if people will go that direction.
It was engaging. It was very engaging.
Yes.
For me, when I saw the trailer, I knew what it was gonna be, and so when I went to watch it, I enjoyed it because I knew that's what it was, and I was okay with that. Like that, I guess that was my kind of perception of it when I went into it. I didn't know what to expect other than people are gonna get their butts beaten by Santa Claus, and that's gonna be hilarious. But actually going to something you just mentioned, Chad, about the connections to other movies, like there was like a whole Home Alone kind of vibe to it in one scene. Yeah. When you see it, you're like
Die Hard 2, very much in the movie.
And
which
even
got me very happy with that.
And even just taking tropes from like typical Christmas movies, because it's got like the heart and the cheesiness and all that stuff, and they really lead into it. It's very self-aware.
Also, and, go on. Sorry.
No, just it cherry picks from like all these different Christmas movie tropes and turns it on its head in a very clever way.
Yeah.
Chad, anything you had to add there?
Oh no, I was just gonna go off of what Raul was saying about the Christmas tropes with how the parents aren't together in the beginning, and then through this whole ordeal they get back. Right. I mean, not to Where we're gonna
Wow.
go through. I mean, hey,
We said there's spoilers.
Spoiler
Yeah.
episode.
What are you
But,
doing if you're listening?
But yeah, they get back together at the end, sort of like almost every Christmas movie, which proves Die Hard is a Christmas movie because that's how that movie starts.
Heck yeah, there you go. There you go. I guess we were on the same boat on that. It is a Christmas movie.
I didn't say. I said.
Oh, I don't know, because I said sorta, because I know
That's
there's
why I
some
was like,
people
no,
who get
because
like,
it is because. I
Yeah,
didn't
okay,
think
all
to
right,
go
good,
because
good.
it is a Christmas movie.
good. Then there's no cans that we have to unlock here. We were on the same boat on that one.
Yes.
I think one of my favorite things about this movie, like as much as I love the action and the gore in this, is the Christmas music that I thought just added so much humor to what was
Yeah.
happening on screen. Like anytime people's heads are getting bashed in and you're just hearing like dun, dun, da, 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 it's just it's so freaking hilarious to me because you don't expect it, and I guess that's the whole point, right? The director's trying to give you different directions and ideas of what this actually could be.
I mean, it goes. It reminds me of how John Woo, like in Face Off, he did a juxtaposition of the Wizard of Oz song. Oh my God, I'm blanking on what's the famous Wizard of Oz song?
Somewhere of the Rainbow.
Yeah. That song is playing over like a violent, explosive gunfight, and you just hear the music, and I was like, yeah, I mean, it's a artistic way of going about it, but also it elevates the humor in this movie because you hear those sleigh bells going shh, 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 shh.
Right.
And I think it just adds to it even more so.
And once again, another trope of Christmas movies is they like to cram those movies with Christmas music.
Yeah.
Also, may I just add that Tommy Wirkola, who's the director of this movie, is I was looking him up a little recently and I just pulled him up again. He's very well known for doing a lot of snow related movies. Like he's known for making Dead Snow. He worked on Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters. Let's see, he did, I think, Dead Snow 2, it says here. I'm like, okay, and then of course Violent Night comes up on here too. Like, man, this guy just loves his snow movies.
I've never heard of Dead Snow.
I haven't either.
It's a Nazi zombie. Like these people. You
can
are
stop
like
right there. I'm in. I'm already in.
I mean, it's not great.
Oh no!
It's like a cult. It's like a cult classic of yeah. It's Nazi zombies. There's people skiing, and then Nazi zombies get into it because there's treasure they got. It's old thing. It's old thing. So I don't want to ruin it for anyone who hasn't seen it. So don't.
Yeah, we're here to spoil one movie.
Every movie possible.
All the movies. Die Hard is a Christmas movie, and everyone dies at the end. I'm just kidding. Anyways, why don't we jump right on in to these story beats and scenes one by one from the beginning to the very end. Gentlemen, if we are ready for this.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it. All right, so Violent Night, directed by Tommy. Why did I write CCC on our Google Doc? I am a loser. Okay, here we go. So, on Christmas Eve, Santa Claus drinks at a Bristol pub and laments that children have become... Yes, a Bristol pub, and laments that children have become increasingly materialistic in a world unaware he actually exists. Flying off with his reindeer and sleigh, he accidentally vomits on the bartender. I thought this was a freaking hilarious opening, just because right from the get-go, we're setting the tone. It's a Christmas movie, starts off in a bar with, all these grown adults all depressed drinking alcohol, and then you see Santa Claus and you realize he's in the same boat as all the others. And it really sets the tone on who the character is and what he wants, or what his character arc is going to become throughout this movie. But what about you guys? What do we think of this opening sequence here?
I mean, I really loved it. It gave me vibes of Bad Santa with Billy Bob Thornton because he was always drinking. But like, there's also oh my God, I'm terrible right now. But there was
a lot of Santa Clauses that are very violent, huh? Because we got him, we got Mel Gibson, we got I think Kurt Russell was an action star Santa at one point.
He wasn't kicking anybody's asses.
No, he was like Christmas Chronicles, the like kid.
That's the one I was thinking about,
or something like that.
Oh, okay.
But I was about to say, it's funny that he was in a bar with another Santa drinking, to end the night, sort of. But I was watching Married with Children recently, and there was a Al Bundy, the dad of the show. Obviously, he was being Santa for one of the Christmas episodes, and he came into a bar and the whole bar was filled up with different Santas, and they pushed out a person dressed up like an elf, but they were all like disgruntled and they hated, Christmas and stuff. And I thought that was, very funny because it brought me back to Violent Night, which I'm digressing right now. So I will go.
Raul, what do you think?
No, like you said, I thought it was great. This really does set the tone, and it kind of gives us an idea of like, okay, I know where this movie's going. Well, you think but then it just ratchets it up to 11 after that. But it really does give you a good start as to like kind of giving you an idea what this movie's going to be like. And David Harbour is so great. He's very good at kind of like the cynical kind of put upon kind of character who just doesn't give a shit. Like that's kind of where his character in Stranger Things starts off, Hopper in Stranger Things. It starts off kind of on that level, like that cynical guy, and he plays that really well. And just really quick about David Harbour, I think he's fantastic. I love anything that David Harbour's in. He's so good in this movie. And
I really liked him as Hellboy, but obviously the movie wasn't that great. But he was I thought he was a great Hellboy too, because he delivered that same type of personality that we saw here and in some other roles. But he does it so well that it just works.
I've heard the movie's not great, but I've heard he's a good Hellboy. Yeah. I haven't seen it, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen a single project where I don't like David Harbour's work. It's pretty difficult because he's such a charming, cynical guy. I love that about him.
But he's so likable too at the same time.
Totally
There's
likable.
Something about him that he's just like kind of the everyman. He can be kind of an asshole and cynical and all that stuff, but you do like the guy, and that's part of what works for him playing this version of Santa. You still like him, of course. You want to. He's Santa.
Yeah.
So he does a good job writing that line.
Definitely. Well then, shall we move on to our next scene here, gentlemen?
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
So in our next scene, we got in Greenwich, Connecticut, Jason Lightstone, his estranged wife Linda, and their daughter Trudy visit his mother Gertrude's mansion to celebrate Christmas with his alcoholic sister Alva, her new boyfriend and wannabe action star Morgan Steele, and Alva's online streamer son Bertrude. That's all one sentence. Are you kidding me? Finding an old walkie-talkie for Trudy to talk to Santa, Jason and Linda overhear her only wish to become a family again. Aw, so cute.
Oh.
I honestly thought that, as soon as I saw the walkie-talkie, I was like, okay, she's obviously going to talk to Santa, which is like, I get it, storytelling, that makes sense. It all connects for the what's to come.
Well, they allude to it in the trailer. I mean,
that's true.
Thing, but
I thought for sure he was going to just like start swearing at her, at this little kid, to make her realize Santa's just a jerk. But I'm glad they didn't take it that route. I'm glad they took it as he's a likable old drunk guy, like he's got his problems, but with the kids he's okay. Like he's very friendly with them. Like that's nice to see that he's at least still trying to be nice to kids.
Well, I mean, I will say you forgot to mention, previous to this scene, he's vomiting on the bar owner as he rides off in his sleigh to get back to work.
Sorry, no, we should have talked about that then. We said that in the first part here. The flying off with his reindeer and sleigh, he accidentally vomits on the bartender. That like definitely also was another setting the tone kind of thing.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, no, he's like, he doesn't care about the adults really as much as he cares about the kids. But like, that he's kind of like a loose cannon, depending on who the heck he interacts with, which I thought was really cool. Also Greenwich, Connecticut, that's like really close to where I used to live in Connecticut. That's really cool.
Oh, nice.
Did it? I don't remember it saying where they were when we got there, because I for a moment I thought we were in like London or England somewhere, because of the estate was so big. I was like, I don't think this is any place on the US, but obviously it was. I mean,
it might be Bristol, Connecticut, because
it probably is, because Bristol pub, Bristol.
But wait, I'm blanking out because we saw this movie a couple of weeks ago at this point. So I can't remember if the people in the bar were British or not, or if they had American accents.
No, because
wasn't the barkeep, the lady, the bartender, wasn't she British? I thought she was.
It might have been just a Boston accent or some kind of accent, but I don't believe it was Maybe I'm completely getting this wrong now. It's been a while. That's why I wanted to see it again. But
I assumed it was a different, like a different country, and I
Yeah.
assumed it was in like England or Scotland or something like that, because he then continues on his way.
Yeah,
to
I get, that makes
to
more
around
sense.
the world, and then he gets to Connecticut eventually. Is there a Bristol, Connecticut?
Yeah, there is a Bristol, Connecticut.
Oh.
Might be spelled differently than STOL though, so I think it's maybe not. I'm gonna have to double check, but there is a Bristol, Connecticut for sure.
sounds the same. That's all that matters.
Yeah,
Our
exactly.
listeners are getting a wonderful lesson in Connecticut geography right now.
Tell us more about Connecticut, Kevin, please.
Study your U.S. maps, kids, because obviously we don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I don't even know where Delaware is. Anyways, we also have drunkenly delivering gifts. Santa arrives at the Lightstone estate where the caterers reveal themselves to be mercenaries with Christmas-themed code names. Led by Mr. Scrooge, they slaughter the staff and take the family hostage. Santa is discovered by one of the henchmen whose gunfire scares away the reindeer, and they fight until Santa knocks him out the window to his death. Also, just really quick before I keep going on this part here, I really did like the introduction to the family and the parents. I think they got straight to the point, told us what to expect from the families and stuff like that. Like the husband, wife, they are ex-husband and wife now, and the daughter wants, marriage.
Yeah.
We're all like, oh, it's a Christmas miracle story. Okay, that's really cute.
Right.
And also the new boyfriend, wannabe guy who shows up. All I could think was, please kill him now. And, I'm glad to say that we will talk about his death later, which is awesome. But going on to what I just read here, I thought it was really creative the way that all the people that were working at that villa were basically all just the henchmen in disguise. Like, that was awesome. And also when the rich snobby family members are being rude to the workers, there's a party that kind of goes, damn, I kind of hope they get shot up now. Like, what the heck? And then you find out that the person that they were being rude to is a henchman, and I'm like, okay, she kind of has earned it if she's gonna kill those guys now. Like, she deserves to kill them at this point because they're terrible people. But Raul, what about you? What did you think about this scene here?
Yeah, no, they do a good job. They're all very unlikable, which I think is interesting. What I've noticed with this movie is with the Christmas tropes, they'll introduce a Christmas trope and you're like, okay, here we go. This is like in every Christmas movie, but then they do a twist on it, right? So we introduce the family, and then you get the couple, the estranged couple, wanting to get a divorce. And we're like, okay, we've seen this before. But then what's unique about this movie is like, yeah, here's the Christmas trope, but then here's the twist. The family, they're all pieces of shit. They all are so unlikable, and so that's the part where they're rude to the caterers and all that stuff. I do like they all have their nicknames. Like one is Peppermint, the other one's Sugar Plum,
That's
right? And all that stuff. And then John Leguizamo is Scrooge. First of all, I love John Leguizamo. I think he's a super. I love seeing him in almost everything he's in. And he's really good at playing, he does the comedy, he does the drama, he's good at playing bad guys. So and you could tell he's having a lot of fun in this movie.
Wasn't he Luigi in the live action Super Mario movie back in the 90s?
What are you talking about? I don't know what movie you're talking about.
Oh, you're right. There is no such thing as that
But
movie.
I've never heard of that movie.
You're right. I'm sorry. My bad. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know. But he's fantastic in anything he's in. I think one of my favorite movies of his is his performance as, I think it was Tybalt in the Romeo and Juliet.
Oh yeah, that was a great one. Yeah.
Where they did a more modern take of it instead of like back in the olden days.
DiCaprio
And whatnot.
Yeah.
But my favorite of his is with in Spawn, where he played the clown.
The clown.
Oh my God, that's right.
Oh my God, I'm blanking on the
Violator.
name. Violator. That's it. Violator.
Yeah.
You barely even recognize
that.
him
Was a
now.
great impression.
I'm the Violator. Yeah, as much as there's some really crazy off the rails stuff in that movie, but I do find his performance in Spawn to be very interesting and fascinating and funny. So
It's fun.
You know what though? Like
crazy.
every time I see his performance in anything, like he just has this over the top kind of energy to him that I think just works so well for the movies that he chooses to work on.
I would say
Well,
he's a bit reserved in most movies, like in I'm blanking on it now, obviously, but oh no, in the John Wick John Wick movie, he was very reserved. He was like
he's got a great role in that show Bloodline on Netflix. He was really good. He can
yeah.
play all. He can play.
Yeah, he's all over
map.
the board, all over.
So he's really good.
But the what I loved though was the head of the family was introduced because the trailers didn't show you like who it was or who was related to whom, but Beverly D'Angelo from
Vacation,
the Vacation movies,
yeah,
the mom, and I was like, oh my god, that's her. And she did an amazing job as just like an awful mother and like
Oh yeah,
I was just like, oh, I hope she gets killed. I mean, obviously you don't want to feel that way, but if you do with some of the characters. Although I will say that obviously they showed the divide well between the family with the estranged mom and dad of the little girl. So like the three of them were good, like I mean, compared to the rest of the family. So you kind of knew it was like, all right, at least these three will probably survive. So maybe the rest would die. And the way the movie was going, I thought they were gonna kill the rest of the family, but obviously
I could have sworn they were going to as well. Yeah.
But you didn't mention. I really like the scenes where David Harbour's enjoying his cookies and milk and stuff. Those were just gold. Like he was just really into it. He's like, "What is? Oh my god!" And he would save them in his pockets, and it was just great.
Yeah, just all those little scenes of him going around doing the Santa thing, giving the gifts out, and they do a lot of setup in this part. They set up the bag, they set up the sack. Kind of like a Mary Poppins thing. It's just like endless. Which that sack becomes. They bring it back and do some clever things with it in the fight scenes later on. Yeah. So they do all this setup of like the magic, and even he says it over and over. Like even he doesn't know how the hell it works. Yeah. And so they kind of set all this stuff up for later. And yeah, his acting in those scenes where he's just eating the cookies, like, oh my god, yeah.
Honestly, though, I want to go back to what you just said there with even he doesn't know what his magic does or how it works. I thought that was it was such a smart way to just tell the audience, like, listen, we don't have to explain everything to you, okay? Like, just get over
it too hard.
Just, again, turn off your brain and enjoy it, because this is the fun part right here. It's magic, man. Come on.
Christmas magic.
It's the Christmas magic, exactly.
Which I do think they say over and over again.
Yeah, they go, it's Christmas magic.
Yeah.
But the first fight scene that Santa has there is really cool, because you start to realize that Santa Claus, he has some fight experience, but also he likes to use his surroundings to attack people with them. Yeah. And so he's like going around using his sack, pulling out random gifts and throwing them at the dude in the beginning. The way the guy dies, the henchman dies against Santa by falling out the window and freaking getting stabbed by the icicle. Man, that was just A+ action film scene right there, in my opinion.
It was also great storytelling in that action scene, because obviously he is still Saint Nick, and he's like, oh, I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to get involved. That was one thing of the movie. He was like, I don't get involved. Mm-hmm. And so he's trying to get out of this, like almost like a Jackie Chan movie where it's like, leave me alone. I'm trying to be just a regular guy, and he's trying to leave. So after that first kill with him falling out the window, you could kind of see that change in him, because later, as we get into some of the other scenes, he's not using everything immediately around that he could grab. He's got certain weapons that he needs to use, and knows how to use them, and stuff like that.
And we'll get to the hammer very soon too.
Oh yeah,
that'll come very soon here. But our next scene here, we got stranded. Santa decides he has to save Trudy and her family from Scrooge, who demands the $300 million in cash from the mansion's vault. Santa kills another henchman by stabbing his eye with a Christmas tree star, zapping him to death. Santa takes his radio, coming across Trudy's channel, and finds the mercenaries on his magical naughty list. Man, that magic naughty list stuff, like that's freaking it's the icing on top to me when he pulls out the Christmas themed stuff and he uses them to his advantage. The man is literally using everything he can to survive this night, everything at his disposal. They were just so creative with the way they brought these things out. Like, he would pull out their names so he would know that they're on his naughty list. Of course they are, because they're pulling this stunt. But then he's like off trying to steal the walkie-talkies from a dead body, because why not? I mean, he has to survive. It's all about survival.
We didn't state the reason why he's trying to get that walkie-talkie or trying to use it at first is because his reindeer flew off because they got scared from the
That's right.
bullets
He got
shooting at the
stranded.
roof.
Right.
And then during this fight where he kills the guy with the ornament, his bag gets burnt up in the chimney.
Oh no, I think his bag gets burnt up later when he gets captured by Scrooge and the other henchmen. So he still has the bag.
Oh,
He's
you're
just-
right. You're right. My bad.
Yeah,
That's a
because
little
he's
later.
pulling stuff
That's a
out
little
of it.
later.
It's all good. We
Yeah,
haven't seen this
yeah.
movie for like a week or two, so we're
I know,
good.
yeah.
But still, this is the reason though why we got this Google Doc up here. But no, I think it was such a creative way to do that. Raul, how about you? What did you think about that scene?
Yeah, I love. Okay, so this is the first kind of. We had the fight scene before with the icicle and stuff, but this is the first one where you're like, oh, it's getting a little more intense, and then
Yeah.
you'll see as the movie goes on. Just when you think it's gotten crazy, oh, just you wait. With each fight scene that comes after, it just gets crazier and more over the top, and the gore and the violence, and you're like, oh my god. And so it's just it was great. Like all the kills are so creative. The guy with getting the Christmas tree star, it's like, who? I've never seen that before in a movie.
Me neither.
Christmas tree star through the eye and then plugging it in and zapping the guy, just like complete, like his brain just like fries up. It's just like insane. That's one of the things I love about a lot of these like horror movies that have like really creative kills. I love shit like that. Show me stuff I've never seen before. And is this the fight scene where he's like, he keeps like reaching into the bag and he's like pulling stuff out, and then he's like, how could, just please once, just somebody want a knife for Christmas or something? Like,
Yeah, that's
can't a
right.
kid just want a knife for Christmas? Looking for something he can use as a weapon, just like throwing random gifts at him and stuff.
And my other favorite thing about that is just the henchmen responding to Santa pulling out items from that bag and him trying to grab his bag from him and then reaching in and being like, what the heck? There's how did you get this out of the bag? What? How does that work? To Santa Claus, not realizing this is Santa Claus. Like, come on. It just adds so much to the humor. And I think that works so freaking well.
I really liked how he used the bag to defend himself when the guy was trying to stab him, and he would just go right into the bag, and
yeah.
it would prevent him from being cut.
Yeah.
But also, we were seeing him take blows and cuts and stabs, and we could tell that he's not like inhuman. He can bleed and die out, and so there was that
Right.
danger there. So I was glad he wasn't like invulnerable, because then that would be kind of boring.
Do you guys remember the moment where he falls off the roof? Because he just finished that fight with the window, through the window, falls out of the roof. It made me think of the scene from what's it called, The Santa Claus with Tim Allen, where they're like, "Hey you," and then Santa Claus falls down, and then you become the Santa Claus.
Oh yeah.
Someone could easily do like an edit of Tim Allen's version yelling at David Harbour's Santa Claus falling down, and then him becoming the action star that he needs to be. But moving on to our next scene here, we got when Trudy's walkie-talkie is discovered, Jason tells their captions that she is simply playing make-believe and declares that Santa is not real, causing her to run and hide in the attic. Santa reassures Trudy over the radio, revealing that he was once a Necromund. I'm going to reread this. He was once Necromund the Red, a bloodthirsty Viking warrior, and finds comfort in his 1,100 years of marriage to Mrs. Claus. I remember we were laughing our butts off that when this scene happened. We were just seeing him as a Viking. They do a flashback of him being all bloodied up with a hammer, just hammering people's faces in together. And the tattoos, like, oh my God, that was insane. But Raul, how about you? What do you think about all this stuff?
Yeah, I do like that. It kind of makes you like, if they do a sequel to this movie, it kind of makes me like, I hope they kind of delve into this lore a little bit more and like his backstory and stuff, because I got really interested in that. And they don't really show too much of it. They show a couple flashbacks, but they don't really delve any deeper into that. But that was something that kind of made me go, oh, I kind of want to know more about that and how he came to be Santa and all that stuff. But yeah, I do like that you get a little bit of backstory. That he kind of has this kind of guilt that he carries with him of like, yeah, I was, I used to be a bad person or whatever. That kind of running from his past kind of thing. But yeah, I liked it. I like the lore that they kind of set up here. What little they did set up.
That's a good point. I mean, he's trying to make up for all the wrongs that he did. It's not just about him
Right.
feeling like kids these days they don't understand, but it's like he's also fighting an internal battle with himself on all the horrible things he had done. Chad, how about you? What did you think of all this?
I thought it was so creative and just so very funny just to see that there's this reveal to who he really is or who he was, and the fact that because his name obviously wasn't Saint Nicholas, so I'd wonder if there was a previous one before him and then they chose him to take it. But I never know where the lore of Santa kind of starts. I forget, the whole Saint Nicholas. He finally,
Well,
the
everybody
original.
knows there's a Santa, then he falls off a roof, and then the next
I
guy
mean,
takes.
And
his
then
place.
Tim Allen became the next Santa.
Well, no, there's the old German
Well, yeah.
like thing, yeah. But
Right.
it makes sense that he's a Viking and he's in the same vicinity as that where that happens.
Right.
And no, I just thought that was a very interesting take in that they could do so much with it. Like I could see a prequel of if they wanted to focus completely on that, they could, or just sprinkle it in some more in like later ones if they try to do a sequel of sorts. But yeah, I thought that was it was just enough where we weren't like confused, and it made it
Right.
fun. So it was, I loved it.
Hey, you know what? Now you said something that made me kind of think of this just now. If he's like more German based or Viking based, why doesn't he have an accent?
Well, over time, I would assume he would lose that.
Well, is it that you lose it, or is it that he just chose to use an American accent the rest of his life? I mean, you know what I mean? Maybe I'm
That's a good
overthinking
question.
it. Maybe I'm
Well,
overthinking
no,
it.
well, if you remember when he was saying who he was, or you heard his name and stuff like that, he did have an accent to it. Like I think he did put like a little bit of a one to it. So I think it's still there. It's just to be. I'm sure he sounds like whatever to whatever kid he's talking to or person. So since they were all American, he was sound like that, or what was normal for the time.
You know what? It kind of also brings up the point that like if he had done an accent, I think it would have been too close to the whole Black Widow, Red Guardian accent, which he's doing a Russian accent, and we've seen enough of him doing that already, so that maybe it just makes sense to keep him Americanized in this.
I think this is just another one of those. Don't think about it too
yeah,
hard.
yeah. It's a turn off your brain.
This is not that type of movie that you can take those kinds of things seriously for.
But actually,
No, you're right. That's definitely true. Well, then our next scene here, we got one of the henchmen, Krampus, forces the family to present their gifts to Gertrude, who is surprised by a card from Jason. Wounded, Santa is captured by Scrooge, who bears a childhood grudge against Christmas. Santa's knowledge of their real identities convinces henchman Gingerbread and Candy Cane that he's real and uses his magic to escape through the chimney. So this was the scene where they burned his bag because they were like, "Hey, let's get rid of this," and he's like, "No." But I do find it really funny that the two dumb henchmen were the ones that believe that he's Santa. But like, we're the audience going, "He is Santa, guys! What are you doing, man? That's hilarious." And also, I think Scrooge kind of being that guy who's like, "I hate Christmas and I hate Santa Claus. I hate everything about it ever since I was a boy."
Yeah.
I think it just works so well. And then I'm pretty sure it's safe to assume there was Christmas music playing while he's sharing his passionate dreams of how much he hates Santa. Which only adds on to the humor, which I found so freaking hilarious and compelling. Not sure if you guys have ever seen, Dragon Ball Z Abridged by any chance, but they did like a whole Christmas Tree of Might kind of thing where it's the same scenario as Scrooge's point of view or how much he hates it. But what about you guys? What did you think of all this?
I thought the whole back and forth was great between them, and I thought John Leguizamo as his Scrooge character delivered the story perfectly, because it was very reminiscent of, if you remember the movie Gremlins, where the girl, she gives her story of why she doesn't celebrate Christmas, and it just reminded me of that,
most
which made
out
it
of
even
left
better.
field scene in that movie.
Yeah, and because in a sense that felt very out of left field to me, that he was getting so sensitive at that moment, just being like, he's been this tough guy this whole time, and he's like, well, I didn't used to, and it was almost like a pity party for him. But what I thought was going to happen in that story is that Santa was at the house where the person he was stealing from got killed at, and that he was waiting to be helped, or he's like, why didn't you help me then? And he's like, I don't get involved, type of thing. And so I thought there was going to be something a little more personal there, which I didn't care that there wasn't, but I thought there was an opportunity for that, to make it more personal for the finale fight at the end. So I was like, oh, okay. But no, it was still fun to see the whole interaction of the two believing, and then him just like, no, you guys are crazy, and all that. So yeah,
I'm surprised that they didn't end up turning on him and helping Santa eventually. But I guess they had to save them for their death sequences.
No. I'm glad they didn't do that.
Oh yeah,
we get some good stuff with those two later.
Yeah.
Some really good Home Alone stuff with those guys. Raul, how about you? What did you think about this whole scene?
No, I just echo everything you guys said. I really like the two henchmen like starting to kind of go, no, what? Is it Santa? Are you? And then John Leguizamo like, what the
language?
Oops, there you go. Hey, there's our one F-bomb.
Oh boy.
What the hell? Yeah, going. What the hell are you talking about? I don't. I thought that was funny, and you start those two kind of come off a little dim. Of course, those are going to be our proxy Harry and Marv at some point later on. I thought it was great, and John Leguizamo delivering again. This is bringing out the tropes, taking another trope of there's the character that hates Christmas, and here's like you said, Gremlins, Scrooge, the Grinch, there's the character that had they didn't get the gift they want, or something bad happened to him on Christmas time, and they had this negative association with Christmas, and maybe has some kind of resentment towards Santa or what have you. Bringing that character, an example of that character being in this movie.
Just the whole, and that's when I decided I was gonna kill Santa someday.
Yeah.
I think to me, what really sells it for this movie, it always cracked me up throughout the film, is you got characters like the Scrooge character and Santa. Whenever they talk about their past, they're so serious about what their life was that you can't help but laugh, because you're like, this is just so ridiculous. It's Santa Claus telling us about being a Viking. It's Scrooge, this guy calling himself Scrooge, talking about how much he thought Santa was so mean to him, and screw Santa. It's so dumb, but it's so hilariously smart.
And yet it's done in a way where it doesn't feel like a tonal clash. It doesn't feel like that. And I don't know, I'm trying to put my finger on what it is that they do that it doesn't feel like that for, but it's very well balanced.
I think it's made to be very satirical, because when you play, like, the whole concept of this is silly, where if you play it serious, it makes it even more funny. And that's how you should do certain, like, if you make a horror movie, like the movie Rubber, where it's a tire killing people, you got to play it serious, and that makes it even funnier. Like that, I think that's how you, like, if they played this too goofy, it wouldn't have been good, I don't think. And that's why
I have to know more about this Rubber movie now.
There's such an in between though of that, right? Like they're going a little bit ridiculous, but not so far ridiculous that you're like, okay, I can't watch this.
It could easily go in that realm where it could be too over the top, or too. It could it could easily be like easily be a tonal clash.
Well, they got it so well though.
Like, even when John Leguizamo's character was talking about how he's rich people, and like, I was like, I mean, not to get into today's politics and stuff like that, but like, there's classism issues and stuff like that, and there's very wealthy people, and I did not feel sorry for the family, the bad part of the family, because of her hoarding that money, pretty much stealing that money. And I was like, no, this kind of deserves to be happening right now. So I think. What?
I'm sorry, Chad. Go ahead.
Oh no, I just was like, part of it was like, they're kind of justified for this. But I'm a psychotic person where I'm like, I only need the smallest of reasons to be like, no, maybe this should happen. So.
Yeah, it does give you a slight kind of, for a moment, relating to the Scrooge character for a
Yeah.
bit, because they do a good job setting this family up to be like such pieces of shit, so just so unlikable that
Yeah.
you do kind of understand and kind of sympathize with him, which
You feel bad for him, yeah.
Yeah.
a little bit, and then that doesn't last very long, but you do
Yeah.
very briefly.
Well, going back really quick, there was something that Santa says in the movie's trailer that really set the tone for me of all this sense of humor that this movie had, which it was just some kind of pun that Santa said where he was just like, let's get ready to deck some halls or something like that. Do you remember what it was?
I think Season's Beatings. Is that
Season's
right?
Beatings. That's probably what it was.
He didn't say it in the movie though, which is
He didn't say it in the
disappointing.
movie.
No.
But like that's to me like they were like, man, how do we tell the viewers that this is what the movie is about?
No.
And as soon as he says that in the trailer, I was like, I get it. I get
It
what
was
this movie
marketed
is.
very well.
No, yeah,
Very
you need-
well.
For a movie like that, you do need a tagline that would sell what you're going for, and that does that very well with that, and the rest of how they presented the trailer was well done enough to be like, yeah, no, I'm sold on that.
And to me, like what I was saying earlier, like that's kind of the thing that made me realize I know exactly what this movie's going to be.
Yeah.
And so when I went in to watch this movie, for me it was a turn off your brain thing because I knew what it was, and I was like, hell yeah, this is all I ever wanted. I don't want to judge this movie at all for any negative stuff because I get it. I understand what they're going for, and it didn't disappoint. Like I was able to enjoy the movie as well as I could because it was awesome. It was hilarious.
What I'm gonna say is gonna hurt Kevin's feelings.
Oh,
because
boy.
I know he loves Marvel and everything, but I will say that this movie was better than anything they've made in Phase 4 thus far.
Comedy wise, or
No,
just
all
period?
better
Just
period.
overall?
It's better
You think it-
overall period.
I feel like it's hard for me to compare. It's just, I mean,
it's
I
hard to
understand
compare.
You guys can't compare, but I would
No,
say
I'm not
this
saying I'm
movie-
not saying you're wrong. That's what we all have different.
I just
It's
can't criticize this
subjective.
movie.
It's
To the,
opinions.
it's I mean it's obviously yeah, but I mean I'm more right, but
Oh, why you? No, but I know what you. It was definitely enjoyable for me on a level that I did not feel watching most of the Marvel Phase 4 movies. There's a few that have come a couple that have come close, but this one was just so much freaking fun on
Yeah.
just
and that's
level.
what
Just-
movies should be. They shouldn't be
Right,
what
right.
they've been putting out.
I
I
will say, I think-
won't
I
get
think
into
no-
it, but they shouldn't. Yeah.
I think No Way Home gets for me. I had just as much fun, but I think
Well, I mean,
Go
to me,
ahead, Kevin.
it's just hard to compare that to all the Marvel movies of Phase
It's
4
not-
because
it's not that
because
hard.
Violent Night is a Violent Night is a comedy, and so
it's
the
an
only
action comedy.
the only action comedy that I'm thinking about is Thor: Love and Thunder, which was not fun.
All of the
As
Marvel
we all
movies
wait
are action comedies. Okay, they're all action comedies.
Well,
So-
not that's also debatable.
I think so.
I don't know about that, but I think there's some movies. There were some Marvel movies that were more drama action. That's why I can't make the comparison because Violent Night was a ton of fun, but I had just the same amount of fun watching No Way Home and really good amount of time.
I think the listeners will, from the podcasts you've put out so far, they will say Chad's right. He is somebody.
Yeah, you know what?
pleased.
Hey, all you listeners, let us know what you think about Chad's opinion. Send us an email at realgeeknews@gmail.com. I would love to hear that. Also, we have our movie review of Thor, Love and Thunder, and spoiler alert, we didn't really like it that much because Violent Night was a much better movie. Amen to that, everybody. Anyways, moving on to our next scene here, because we're not going to keep talking about this part. Gertrude's private kill squad arrives, led by Commander Thorpe, but are in league with Scrooge and kill Morgan, the actor boyfriend, when he tries to escape. Finding the vault empty, Scrooge threatens Linda and Jason confesses that he stole the money and was planning to flee with his wife and daughter, or ex-wife and daughter, which he explained in his card to his mother. He reveals the money hidden in a nativity scene outside, and Gertrude forgives his treachery as a Lightstone rite of passage. I think this was another one of those moments that was like, oh man, those rich people in this movie really are just terrible because like the mother's just like, you stole all my money. I respect that. Good for you. Like, oh man, really? Like you're okay with that? But all right, it's a rite of passage for your family. All right, it just makes me like them so much less. But I don't know. It's interesting. Chad, thoughts on this scene?
Well, no, I really like that because earlier in the movie when they were bringing the introduction of the mother of the whole family coming in, you kind of already got that sense because the other side of the family was sucking up to her and be like, "Oh, well, yes, mom, you know, we got you all these stuff, blah 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 blah." But he, the son there, he sat in the back. He's like, you know, this year I'm not gonna suck up to my mom, and that's because he's already in the mindset. And it's like then you, as the movie goes on, you kind of figure out he did something with the gift he gave Gertrude, his mother, and so it's like, oh, and then it was, you kind of got it. It was like, okay, he stole the money, and then it's like obviously she's gonna. I kind of saw it already coming. Her accepting, it was like, you know, I'm proud of you for doing that. I respect that. But the fact that she was like trying to tell him to not give up the money and let, you know, one of the family members be shot was obviously, yes, an example of she's a terrible person, and she is still a terrible person.
It's also weird that I kind of just in my mind assumed that the kill squad that she was calling up was going to turn on her as well, because like the character just isn't likable. Like the mother was just so unlikable that of course your kill squad would turn against you. Like if they knew that they were going to get a cut of all this money, like of course they're going to turn on you.
Well, I mean, they even gave a hint of that when she mentioned the kill squad to the bad guys in the beginning. There was the story that followed behind them using them for like another situation in the past, and that, you know, the kidnappers were never found and stuff. And so it was kind of like, all right, what the hell is going on with that story? This is a little fishy, what you just described. So I kind of already guessed, yes, that would happen. And it kind of played out exactly like Die Hard 2 with the Marines that came in to help the terrorist situation. And they were part of the terrorists revealed at the end there. And I was like, oh, that's Die Hard 2. I was like, okay, there you go. Very awesome. So I was giddy on all fronts there for all that. So.
Heck yeah. Raul, how about you? What did you think of all that?
Yeah, this is one of those, again, this is kind of, you know, we're the family that we're following, the central family, right? You know, that we're following. They kind of at the beginning come off as, well, they're the goody two shoes, right? They're the son, you know, he's not as bad as the other ones. And then this scene comes and you're like, oh no, he's just as shitty as the rest of them. Like he was planning on stealing the money. So that was a nice little reveal there. I was gonna say, did anybody else see that twist coming with the kill squad? And I did get that feeling. Like I was like, this, you know, they're gonna turn on them. And then sure enough, yeah, he's in league with Scrooge. Yeah, I thought it was a good sequence.
But also, like, before that, there wasn't that many henchmen. So I was like, oh, this movie's going to be pretty quick if he's already handled, like, 2 or 3 of them. And then the henchmen got even bigger with the kill squad coming in. I was like, oh, shit, okay. Now the kills are going to start happening. So I thought that was good because I was like, oh, I was hoping there would be more action. And then there pleasantly was to follow.
And then I think it you know, the kill squad coming after Santa and shooting at him gave us a second shot of Santa Claus falling off the roof so that Tim Allen could steal his powers. That's all I have to say about that. But yes, also the boyfriend, the actor boyfriend who gets shot up by the kill squad had me dying because I was so excited for him to get shot up. He was just such a terrible human being. And so just that happening to him, I remember vocally going, oh, yes, like, yeah, he deserved,
Well, I will give him credit, though, to escape the house in the first place. He did have some action moves that he released on one of the guys before he did like a kick or something. And I was like, oh, wow, I didn't expect that from him. And then he immediately like jumped out the window or I forgot how he got out. Yeah, he jumped through a window.
Yeah, right? he went out the window.
He jumped out the window, yeah.
Broke right through
out of there.
Yeah. And I love that I think he was like bringing up his movies to the kill squad or something like that. And I thought it was just funny that he thought that would make a difference of it.
Like, I'm an actor, guys. You guys don't know me from... You know? Oh, so good. Well, our next scene here, then, we got retreating to a shed. Santa finds a sledgehammer and brutally slaughters the kill squad. Trudy creates traps inside by Home Alone resulting in Gingerbread's death, and Candy Cane prepares to shoot her, but is killed by Santa. Scrooge gives the order to kill the hostages, but Alva, Linda, and Bert manage to kill Krampus instead. Man, the introduction to Santa going back to his roots and getting his sledgehammer from the shed and just, taking off his jacket a little bit, showing off all the tattoos again, like the lighting over his head in silhouette when he's trying to dramatically prepare himself to fight these guys had me dying. Because again, it was just one of those things where it's like character being very serious in a situation that just seems so silly with Santa Claus. But then him brutally murdering all these Kill Squad members, I thought worked so well. And, again, like what Raul's been saying, there's so many creative kills in this movie. And this one specifically, this sequence
so good.
had so many cool sledgehammer attacks that I didn't think were possible. And they were really awesome. And then we got the Home Alone scene. Well, first of all, how do we feel about the shed fight scene for you guys? What did you guys think of that?
Well, I thought that obviously everything that happened there was amazing, but as throughout the movie, we've had Santa doubting himself as well because this Christmas spirit has changed and whatnot. But like him talking with the kid, kind of slowly pumping him up, and like at this moment, I think he was just he was obviously bleeding out because he was like he used Christmas wrapping on his wound that he
right.
I thought that was funny.
Bleeding pretty bad from, and he was like sewing it up because he wasn't able to heal like he used to because Christmas spirit was so low nowadays. And
magic. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, and so I felt that when she was talking to him through the walkie-talkie and she revitalized that. It's like, hey, maybe use these bad things you did for good. Maybe it's a good reason to. And then he, I think some light shines on the sledgehammer in the shed or something like that.
Yeah.
And then obviously we get that dramatic reveal of him taking off. And but I you couldn't tell how big the shed was because it was very medium shots of when he was taking out guys, which was good because you weren't like. It seemed like it was much bigger than it was. It was probably very small because he was taking them all out in the same place. It was like, how do these guys not see him fighting all these people? But they did it well enough where I wasn't like, oh, this is not believable. But it was too fun to like think about it too hard. It was just like, I'm enjoying this for what it is. And my favorite kill though was I think it was the snowplow in the garage where the guy's like rope gets like thrown into the grinder and it just pulls him in. Like,
was it rope or was it Christmas lights? Or am I confusing?
You're right.
It was Christmas lights. Yeah, you're right.
The Christmas lights.
So good. You know what? It's almost. I feel like I'm connecting this to a mix of God of War from the PlayStation 4 version, where Kratos is finding his weapons again for the first time and getting ready to get back into the action. Mixed with a combination of Batman Begins, where he's just hunting down all the henchmen one at a time. Like, it just goes from one sequence to the next, and it just rocks so hard because they took the best part of each of those things. What's up, man?
No, I was just going to say, you could also say that it was very similar to John Wick when he breaks open the floor to grab his guns.
Yeah, that's so true.
And I was like, oh, yeah, this is very John Wick, too. And I think some John Wick people also helped make this movie too. I
wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, really?
So
they're great.
That's why I was like, oh, the action's very John Wick-ish too. So that was fantastic. And the Home Alone part as well. Oh well, no, before we jump to that, I'll let you go into the shed part, Raul.
Raul, what do you think about the shed?
Yeah, this was great. This is like when he finally accepts, when he has that pep talk, when Trudy gives him that pep talk, and he's finally like kind of accepts and stops running away from his past, and he's got the hammer. Oh my God, this is like when he goes off the rails here. The action, the gore, and the violence goes off the rails, and this is another one of those sequences that takes it up a notch even more. Yes, the snowplow death, all that stuff. Oh my God. I just remember all of us just like making audible sounds with each kill. Yeah, no, I thought this was super fun.
I think that
Super
this
fun.
scene alone made me realize that this is a movie that you have to bring all your buddies to go watch every year. Like that, this is the scene that will make that so enjoyable and so worth it. Because it was just so awesome. And again, what you just said, us all going, oh boy, like the whole freaking scene, it really did just sell it for me. But the Home Alone sequences, I
Yes.
thought was hilarious. But I want to hear from you guys. Raul, what did you think about the Home Alone scenes?
Oh my God. So this is another thing that, we're cherry picking from different Christmas movies. And yes, as soon as I realized what was about to happen, I'm like, oh my God, here we go. This is going to be like Home Alone. But of course, you know what kind of movie this is already. So you're already like kind of ahead of the movie. And like, at least when that sequence was coming up, that she's like, Trudy's like starting to set up booby traps and stuff. I was thinking like, oh, here we go. We're going to do a Home Alone thing. Oh, but shit, this movie, oh, what is that going to look like? And it's just like Home Alone, but with the violence ratcheted up.
Rated R.
There is a nail sequence, like with I think it was like the first Home Alone, right? Or Home Alone 2. But this ain't no Marv just stepping his foot on top of the nail. This was like, sure, like the guy falls and the nail goes through his jaw and he's like hanging there by the nail from his jaw, from his chin. And you're just like, oh my God, like, oh man, I enjoyed the hell out of that scene, and like literally all these booby traps, because it's like, how many times have you seen Home Alone?
Yeah.
And like they get hit with all these booby traps, and they get up and they're like kind of beat up, but you're like, come on, that would kill the guy. This is like this is like bringing the realism into it, and it's so much fun to watch. So much fun to watch, and I really love the girl who plays Trudy. I will say she's really great in this movie because she does a good job playing kind of the there's the kid character in all these Christmas movies that's like the bubbly kind of, oh, it's Santa, I knew you'd come, Santa's gonna come for me. But what's great about the way she does it in this movie is it's delivered the same way as it is in all those other movies, but the justification between her kind of character and all this other shit we're seeing is really kind of what makes it fun to watch. And then you're seeing this girl, start setting up all these traps to kill these people, these really brutal traps, these booby traps. So I just had so much fun with this sequence, as a kid who grew up watching Home Alone, and now as an adult, like seeing like what that's like, but like realistically, that was just a lot of fun.
Chad, how about you?
The way they revealed the traps were like chef's kiss, because like even the first one that they came across, the nail sticking up out of the step, and I was like, oh, obviously that's reminiscent of Home Alone 1 and 2. I think they did it in both, or just one. But then they revealed the twist to it, as the guy, he was like, what, I'm not gonna fall for this. And then the step below it has a saw, like so he would like fall down.
That's right. That's right.
And,
it was,
and they did it with each trap too, where it was something simple and stupid, and you were like, obviously these people aren't going to fall for that because they're mercenaries. So I just love that there was just like, it was cute and then very deadly. Like it started out cute and very deadly, and the funny thing is how we were describing the whole family. They're terrible people and stuff like that, but then we see the cute daughter, and she's so nice, that there's this maybe the very demented side to it, because Santa was just like, I forget what he said to her, because I think she was trying to curse at one point, because he said, let's kick some ass, and he's like, oh, let's keep you on that nice list, Trudy. And I thought that was so funny. So yeah, there was just like this childlike fun to her in this scenario, but the deadly things that followed through with how she dealt with them, I thought Santa would have to come and save her, but no, she was able to fend them off on her own, and I thought that was great. So it was unsuspected. I thought otherwise. So yeah. No,
the part with the glue, she like glues I can't remember the henchman's name, but she like glues her to the floor, and it like rips the back of her scalp off. Oh my God, that had me wincing. Oh God.
I think for me, every time I saw the nail, I got so triggered because ever since I've seen the movie A Quiet Place, where you see the nail in
Yeah.
that scene, I always
right.
assume someone's gonna step on it now. And so
Yeah,
I saw
yeah.
it in the movie, and I was like, "Oh, here we go! Something's about to happen with that nail, man! Come on, here it comes!"
But
yeah,
it turns out to be way worse than you imagined.
oh, way worse. Then as soon as it hits the guy under the chin, it made me think of I think it's called
Hot Fuzz.
Hot Fuzz. That's the one with
Yeah.
the
Oh,
where the main
yeah.
bad guy gets
Yeah.
it right through underneath. But it wasn't a nail in that movie. It was
It was
like
a
the,
fence. It was
from
a
like
fence
it
post.
was like a
Yeah,
mini
the
golf.
fence post.
I thought it was the mini golf like church house that had
Oh,
like,
you're
Yeah,
right. You're right.
when
Sorry,
he, like,
sorry,
the
sorry.
steeple of
went
the
right
church.
through
Yeah.
him.
But
And then
also, like,
he's still talking like, "Oh, it hurts. Oh my god."
although it's weird because in plenty of action movies, when the guy stabs him with a knife through here, he's dead. But
Yeah.
I guess since it's a nail, it wouldn't have killed him immediately or something like that. I don't know.
If anything, that just like made it worse because the guy's
Yeah.
just like he's
Ooh.
hanging there too. He right, isn't he? Because then at one point, like his legs, like he can't pull himself up by his legs or his arms, and so he's just literally dangling there
Oh.
by the nail. Oh God, it made me cringe.
Man,
so
just-
much.
Just describing it makes me like feel it physically in my body, and
feel
I'm
the
like,
pain,
I
tingly.
forget what exactly kills him. It was like the bowling ball that hit the nail in his head.
It was definitely the bowling ball, yeah, because
Yeah.
the nail hit his forehead, and he was like, "Oh," and then the ball went boom
Yeah,
right in his
okay,
forehead.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Oh man,
Oh, so another nail. That's right, another nail.
Another nail hit him in
his
the skull,
forehead.
and he fell to the ground. And the balls that were meant for the other henchmen fell down through the hole.
Oh
Hit him
God,
in
God,
that's
it,
right.
it was just so like, ugh, but it was so satisfying at the same time. Like the director, he knew exactly what he was doing with that timing. It was mwah, French kiss, very very good. But moving on to our next scene here, you guys, we got Scrooge and Thorpe flee, or Thorpe or Throp? Thorpe. Scrooge and Thorpe flee into the woods with the money and a captive Gertrude, pursued by Santa. Linda kills the last mercenary, and Trudy sees her parents reunite with a kiss. Lured by Scrooge, Santa crashes into a cabin. Scrooge finds himself on the naughty list and acknowledges Santa is real, but is determined to kill him and end Christmas. They fight, and Scrooge gains the upper hand, but Santa uses his magic to drag him up the cabin's chimney, eviscerating Scrooge.
Oh.
Raul, I know exactly what you're about to say, so I just want to hear your thoughts on that kill scene real quick.
If Mortal Kombat 11 had Santa Claus as a DLC character, this would be his fatality move right here. I mean, just seeing him, he comes up through the chimney and he's holding like, pieces of Scrooge, and his like bloody pieces and guts like shoot everywhere. Oh man, it was just so.
You
Oh
could just see like his spine was bent backwards when he came out of the freaking chimney. Like,
yeah, and
oh.
there was that moment where it's funny because there was a moment where like he didn't quite, he got caught and then he like got pulled and he didn't quite fit and then he got pulled again. Like that first time when he gets stuck, he gets stuck a little bit, and then finally he goes, oh god, and then the sound effects, the bones snapping and all those squelching and whew, that's crazy. Again, yeah, this is Santa's fatality move. I loved it. I loved it
My
so
God.
much.
It took me by surprise because they did such a good job making you forget about the fact that he could use that ability in the chimney anymore.
Right.
But like the
right.
whole now he finally believes in himself and his internal conflict is going like he almost had a Spider-Man 2 web block situation. And so now that he finally believes in himself, he can use it. So as soon as they were fighting next to the chimney, I was like, okay, cool set piece. That's fun. And then he did the thing and I was like, wait, oh my God, how could I have forgotten that? That's freaking hilarious. But
They do a good job setting. They set that up so well, and it pays off so well because of that.
Totally. And also, let me go backwards now for a second, because we had the husband and the ex-wife having their fight sequence with their other henchmen that they were fighting. I thought that fight scene lasted so long, and I understood it's not Santa Claus just slamming people with sledgehammers. It's the husband, the wife. They're gonna take their time trying to fight this guy because they're not used to fighting. But there was a point where I was just like, is he gonna die? Because if the dad's gonna die, just kill him already. Because I thought this was taking too long. Let's get back to Santa, okay? But if there's anything that I found wrong with this movie, it was just that scene, in my opinion, just took too long. But Chad, how about you? What did you think of all of that?
I would disagree with you on that. I thought it was. I mean, through their fight, the chase scene on the snowmobiles was happening, so it was like a back and forth almost. I felt so it didn't really feel long to me, and obviously they're not trained combatants, and it's going to be a little harder for them to take down this guy. So, and I don't think I forget how they killed him. I don't remember exactly, but
I think the mom took a nativity character or Jesus or something and smacked the guy in the head or something like that. Was that what it was? Raul, do you know?
I think it was something like
I
that.
think so. That sounds
or
familiar.
he got stabbed with it or something like that. But
Yeah,
I was like, no, obviously, in a sense, I think the mercenary would have killed them both, but obviously, is for the sake of the movie. This is the moment that they worked. They physically worked through their emotional problems. Like it was funny. It was almost like this was their therapy that they were doing. Killing this one guy helped them fall back in love at the moment, and that's what made it very funny. And I thought it worked very well. I didn't think it was too long. I understood what they were trying to do with it.
you know what?
And-
When you say it from that perspective, that actually does sound like it makes more sense now to me. But yeah, no, that's true. And then it was nice because then they had the little button on top of closing off the character arc of the parents not being together and the daughter wanting them to get together.
Yeah.
And then they all went through that experience together. Very
Yeah,
lovely.
I do like that they do give the members of the family kind of an opportunity to kind of get in on the action and kill some of these guys. What's her name? Linda. They do that thing where they set up. They're like, you know how to use a gun, and she was
Yeah.
like, what? My dad took me hunting a few times, and then so she's got the gun, so she's got her moment. She's killing the guy, and she killed the one henchman. Yeah, I do like that they give some of these members of the family some opportunity to kill these guys.
Well, also like it gave the father a little bit of redemption off of his kind of mischievous behavior from earlier.
Right.
Because I
his
think
family.
Santa, while he's like hiding behind the nativity scene, the father, Santa is like telling him, like, "Hey, nut up and like help out," or like he was kind of like pushing him to. I think that happened, right? Like he spoke to him, was like, "Hey, man, you guys are on your own for a moment," or because he was going after Scrooge.
Yeah.
But I felt that whole thing was it worked well, and then the snowmobile chase was very Die Hard 2 as well. I was like, oh, this is like Die Hard 2 again. But also it felt a little Return of the Jedi as well with the bikes and the.
That's
and
what
the
I was
woods and
thinking.
stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought Beverly D'Angelo, Gertrude, the mother of the whole family, I thought she was gonna turn out to be like the real bad guy at the end and like shoot Santa or something like that. But that didn't happen, thankfully. No, I thought that whole interaction with her and the head of her kill squad, her killing him, I was like, okay, that's justified there and everything. That was cool, the chase scene. And what I loved about the finale fight between Santa and John Leguizamo, or Scrooge, I guess we've been calling him. What I loved about that fight was how their arena changed, because at first he crashes into that little broken kind of building, and the whole place starts to light up on fire. I was like, oh my god, are they gonna fight in a flaming building now? And
It
I
was
like,
so badass.
That's so funny. And I was like, yeah, okay. And then it just escalates even more so. And I did kind of think that, I was like, this chimney's here, I think he's gonna use it. I didn't think he was gonna use it how he did, though. I thought he was gonna,
Right.
when he was like on the ground getting beat, because John Leguizamo was actually holding his own, taking him, chopping him down and stuff. And I thought he was going to go up the chimney to be on top and jump down on top of John Leguizamo type of thing.
Right.
But they used it differently, and that I was glad I was surprised by that, because that was so cool how they did it.
Oh yeah.
But
It was very unexpected.
yeah,
Fatality.
and I just love the brutality of their fight between the two. It just worked so well. Like I was like, oh man, my dopamine and my adrenaline were up here, and I was like, yes, this is what I want. And I was like, I need this kill to be awesome, and they pulled it off. And
I
And then
was
he did-
genuinely worried about Santa too. Like,
Oh,
you
no, yeah,
saw
I
him
did-
like bleeding and everything.
Wasn't there a part where Scrooge he's got like knives coming out of his shoes or something, right? Did that happen?
I want to say you might be right.
Not that, no, not that. Not he had his shoes turned into like cleats so he could grip onto the ice.
Oh yes,
Oh,
yes.
That's what it was.
I
That's
forgot
what-
about
yeah.
that whole dynamic, them
Yeah.
fighting on the ice and Santa slipping around, which gave John Leguizamo the kind of the advantage in that fight. And I was like, oh, this. That's the thing. Like a great action movie has storytelling even in the action scenes, and
Mhm.
like you could tell there was this progression through the fight that was it was done very well, and
Mhm.
I really appreciate when they give you something like that, and also that it wasn't so close up where you couldn't see the actual fighting. Like you actually, I'm not going to say it was like as amazing as The Raid or anything like that, but I'll say that the camera sat back and let you watch it instead of
Mhm.
like, oh, cut,
No,
cut,
no
cut,
shaky
Right.
cam.
you know, yeah, and I appreciate that. So, which even elevated the action more, which I think every action movie should do.
That man, I think you said everything we needed to hear at this point. That's beautiful. Well, moving on to our next scene here, we got Santa is fatally shot by Thorpe, who is killed by Gertrude. And Jason burns some of the money to keep him warm, but Santa succumbs to his wounds. Trudy inspires her family to declare their belief in Santa, and he's revived, admitting that he still does not really understand how Christmas magic works. His reindeer return, and the Santa bids goodbye to Trudy before flying off to finish delivering gifts. His faith in Christmas renewed. This was strike 3 for me. When Santa gets shot and falls, I was gonna be like, all right, now cut the camera to Tim Allen with a gun saying, "Hey you!" shooting him and then gaining his powers. It has to happen one way, guys, and I'm pretty sure that would have been the perfect freaking ending for a Santa Claus movie if Tim Allen was there. But frankly, it can't be that funny. But it was very shocking when he got shot, and the idea of them using the money to burn next to him to keep him warm. I love that the siblings were like, "What are you doing? You can't burn all that money. That's $500,000." And I'm like, didn't you guys have like $300 million? Like, I'm pretty sure 500,000 doesn't mean anything to you guys at this point. So who cares? It's just money. Burn it, burn it, burn it. But Raul, how about you? What did you think about all this stuff here?
Yeah, no, again, this is another kind of juxtaposition with the this kind of movie being such a violent kind of action film, and then we still have our Christmas film trope of like, the let's revive him if we just believe, right? If we just believe. And then he comes back to life, and again, yeah, I don't know, Christmas magic. I don't even
Christmas
understand.
magic.
It's just done so well, the juxtaposition and the way they kind of weave these things into this movie. I thought it was great.
Chad, how about you?
No, I loved how they brought him back to life. Where I thought maybe like it would be a teardrop or something hitting his face, and he'd be like, "Huh?" Waking up, like that typical silly thing. But no, I was happy to see that they followed through with the whole believing in Santa. Makes him stronger, and the magic works again, and it was a touching moment too, because like this man, even though they didn't believe he was Santa, did help them survive the night or Christmas Eve into Christmas Day. And I think that it really just was a great cap to the movie. But I love that they got to see the actual sleigh too. Like it wasn't just he walks off or he's disappeared, but the sleigh comes or shows up, and then I love his interaction with his reindeers because it's so funny. Him and Blitzen are just. It's like, "Yeah, Blitzen, I know you."
Yeah, he steps on the shit, and he's like,
Yeah.
very unprofessional.
Yeah.
Should have called Rudolph, man. That
Um,
whole thing.
that's why part of me, I think I was like, I could see a sequel happening where it would be maybe they're defending the North Pole with him and his wife is also like a some sort of Viking or something like that. And
His wife is Charlize Theron.
yeah.
Oh man.
But part of me, I was like, no, even funnier would be a like almost like a buddy cop film of him and Blitzen trying to get out of trouble. And like you see the reindeer actually getting some kills in too and stuff like that. But all in all though, I thought that was a nice ending with the the magic, reviving him so he could finish the night delivering gifts and presents, because they brought his second bag and there was a note from Mrs. Claus. It's like, thought you might need this and stuff. And yeah, no, it was just like, oh, it's a happy ending, except, you know, obviously that one guy of the family got killed. And
nobody needed him.
no, but yeah, no, I mean, he wasn't gonna get on the nice list anytime soon, I was sure.
Also,
And-
I will, let me throw in that Gertrude shooting, you know, the guy that shot Santa, to me was like okay, all right, you're not all that bad, because you did just save Santa, or you did, you know,
I mean, that's
avenge
the
Santa.
smallest of.
Yeah, it was a small
smallest of
thing,
things,
but
like-
I was like, you know, I wanted to completely hate her, but then she did that, and I was like, all right, okay, but you're
She's still gonna get
you're still a
cold,
terrible
I'm
person.
sure.
Yeah, she's definitely gonna get cold, but she, you know, she did something to redeem herself at least a little bit. So I was
Yeah.
like, all right, okay. Well, finally we had the mid-credit scene, which was Bert, the cousin, recording a video with Thorpe's corpse, boasting that Santa is real. I think when we live in a world now where Marvel movies have gotten us used to mid-credit scenes and post-credit scenes all the time, it's interesting that they decided to do one for this type of movie as well. But also, like, it didn't bring anything to the table for like a future movie, but it was just the silly. It's a silly mid-credit scene.
This is not that kind of movie.
No,
It's
no,
really not.
I think it was very reminiscent of older films where they did do mid credits or end credit stuff, but it really didn't evolve to be anything else other than just an extra little tag for the movie. And
Here's a funny thing.
here's
that
an
also
extra
happened.
funny thing that we had that we wanted to show you, you know?
God, I really miss those comedy films from like the early 2000s and 90s where like at the end, in the end credits, they would always show you bloopers of the movie. That would have been really sweet to see for this.
Rush Hour. I remember Rush Hour. Doing
Oh, Rush Hour, yes.
I really think what would have, like, this movie was 100% for me, but what would bring it to like 110? What would have soared into the outer space? So good would it be if it ended with a rap summing up the movie in the credits, like old movies used to do in the 80s and 90s, where it was like some rap group just doing like, oh, Santa Claus going out to, you know, and I thought, because the way the movie was, I was like, this would be perfect if there was a rap song at the end that just went through the whole plot of the movie.
like MC Hammer with the
Yeah.
Addams Family.
Or like or at the end of Ghostbusters where they have the rap song is like, spirit, some people hear it, some people fear it,
Yeah.
spirit. You know, I think I miss.
That would have been the bow tie to the present.
Yeah, it would have been like amazing, because like the original Ninja Turtles movie in 1990, one of my favorites. At the end of the credits, there's the rap song that sums up the movie about the Ninja Turtles, and I was like,
TURTLE power. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It's like the mean machine, you know, and they go into the whole. That's so good, so good. So I really think if they do a release of a soundtrack, there should be just like, even if it wasn't in the movie, just throw it on that soundtrack. Get me Easy E or someone like doing that cheap, silly boom bap rap for the plot.
Well then, so I know I'm pretty sure we already know the ending or the answer to this question, but do we want to see a sequel movie to this?
I would like to, yes, but I can understand if they don't. I was like, it's fine if they don't. I don't mind if they don't. But if they do, I'm not going to say no. As long as the same people are involved, I'll be totally on board.
I don't think this is a movie that necessarily needs a sequel, but if they do happen to do a sequel, I would be open to it. I do think it's hard because it's like we already part of the novelty of this movie is like seeing something we've never seen before, and the novelty of like Santa just killing people in very creative ways is something that we've now seen with the first movie. So the question is, how do you top that? And also we gotta see something different. You know, you can't just have the same thing over and over again, or unless if you're gonna, you know, take more Die Hard tropes, you know, just do the same thing again and just have Santa just like reference that. Oh, what was it the line John McClane says? Same thing happened to a guy twice or something like that.
I forget what he says, but
How could the same thing happen to the same guy twice?
What I could see happening though is like maybe John Leguizamo had a brother, and then his brother goes to the North Pole hunting for. He's like, you killed my brother, Santa Claus, I'm coming for you. You know, and then have an army of elves versus an army of mercenaries at the North Pole. That'd be great.
Maybe make Louis Leguizamo that Scrooge. I'm just gonna say Scrooge because my tongue is not working properly. His brother would be played by. Oh man, now I'm blanking out what I was about to say. Hold on a second. Wait. Who's the guy from
Bob Hoskins?
No. The guy from No Country for Old Men.
Oh,
Javier Bardem?
Javier Bardem plays his brother in the sequel.
No, you know who actually needs to play his brother in the sequel? Antonio Banderas.
Oh,
he would bring up the comedy to that with it.
That's such a good idea. My God,
plus him sliding around like El Mariachi from the Desperado series would be awesome as well. Just him with, but you know, I think he's had some health issues recently, so that probably wouldn't happen. But no, I could see there's plenty of different ways to go about it. Obviously, don't rush that film. Obviously, take
take your time. Well,
right?
I do have some good news. I have some good news that the movie, as of this recording, came out 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
The box office, or the budget for the movie is $20 million. And the box office, so far the movie has made $40 million. So it's already doubled its budget tremendously, and it's not even over yet. We still have 2 more weeks until Christmas is completely done and over with and the holidays are done. So this movie's already succeeding. It's only going to continue to do more positive stuff in the box office. So hopefully if they do decide to do a sequel, then more power to them. If they can top this first one, then I will be hella impressed.
I do think it's got the potential to keep having legs because, like, you know, we're still in the Christmas season. You know, I'm sure there are going to be people who are still going to want to go out and watch this movie, you know, in the spirit of Christmas. And honestly, I know Avatar is coming out soon, but I don't think this movie is good counter programming to Avatar, you know, because this is just not, you know, it's totally different from something like Avatar. So I can see it still doing pretty well.
Totally. Well then, gentlemen, with that all being said, we made it to the end. So
yes.
Thanks for
that's
listening.
Our shortest episode ever.
This is also our first episode that we haven't done a Marvel DC thing review. So thank you for all of you guys for listening.
It's kind of a review in the sense that this movie's better than all DC and Marvel movies.
Thanks for listening, everybody. And, you can follow us on Instagram at Real Geek News.
Oh, don't forget Star Wars.
Get out of here, you. You can follow us on our separate handles on Twitter and Instagram at Kevin A. Rivera VO and Raul Ceballos VO. Chad, where can everybody find you, all these fellow geeks?
You guys can find me at on Twitter and Instagram under the same name, G. Chadwick Cook. And I hopefully I'm welcome you with open arms, you know.
And we also have a YouTube channel with all our episodes and reviews. Hit that like button, subscribe, Real Geek News. Just search us on YouTube, and also hit that little bell so we know when we posted something new. And also, hey, if you want to help us and boost the quality of our show and help new listeners find us and all that stuff, please go on Apple Podcasts, give us a positive review, give us a 5-star review. We'd really love your support, and it would just help us out so much, help the show out.
Heck, if you give us a bad review, at least we'll know how to fix it and make things better. So give us that too if you want. Finally, want to share your passionate thoughts and opinions about movies? Any movie reviews you'd like us to do? Well then send us an email at realgeeknews@gmail.com. We'll leave all the descriptions below. With all that being said, stay safe, stay classy, and most important of all,
stay geeky, my friends.
And email Kevin telling him that I'm right.
You're wrong!